Right now, a man your age is sitting alone in a house he worked his whole life to pay for. In 1990, only 3% of American men said they had no close friends. By 2021, that number was 15%, a fivefold jump in one generation. Sit with that. Not fewer friends, no close friends at all. None. Now think back. In 1975, the average working man had a standing Tuesday night, a bowling league, a lodge, a union hall, a bar where the man behind it knew his name and his drink. He didn't schedule his friendships. They were just there, every week, like the sunrise. He wasn't more social than you. He wasn't stronger or braver. He was just luckier in one specific way. The world he lived in handed him friends without him ever having to ask. And then, decision by decision, that world was taken apart. This is not a story about bowling. It's a story about how a man's friendships were quietly taken out of his life and exactly who did it. Picture a man, call him Walter. For 30 years, he never missed a Tuesday. Walter worked at a plant. Nothing glamorous. Clock in, clock out. But Tuesday night was his. The league started at 7. The same 6 men, the same lane, week after week, year after year. They drank cheap beer from paper cups. They argued about the Browns. They knew whose kid was sick, whose marriage was shaky, who just got laid off. Nobody called it support. Nobody called it anything. It was just Tuesday. In the 1960s and 70s, bowling wasn't a hobby. It was the social backbone of working class America. Tens of millions of men bowled. Millions did it in leagues on a fixed night with the same faces. Many men today can't name a single friend they see every week. Here's what most people don't realize. That fixed night was the whole secret, and it's the exact thing we lost first. Here's a question almost no man can answer. When was the last time you made a real friend after 40? For most of us, the honest answer is we can't remember. And that's not an accident. Think about how a friendship actually survives. It doesn't survive on feelings. It survives on repetition, the same people, the same place, again and again. The man of the 70s didn't have to be good at friendship. The structure did the work for him. The league met whether he felt like it or not, so he showed up, and showing up was enough. Today, friendship asks you to organize everything yourself. Text 6 people, find a night that works, reschedule twice, cancel. A standing Tuesday needs none of that. You just go. Here's where it gets interesting. We didn't decide to give that up. It was taken apart around us, one convenience at a time, and the first wrecking ball was the car. Think about the bar or the diner closest to where you grew up, the one within walking distance, the one your father went to. Is it still there? Tell me one place in the comments, one spot where the men in your family used to gather. Just the name. I read every single one. Because here's what the car did. Before the car, men lived close. You walked to the lodge, the tavern, the barber. Walking distance meant you ran into people. Bumping into a neighbor was built into the day. The car let us spread out. The suburb stretched a mile, then 5, then 20. Suddenly, seeing a friend wasn't a walk. It was a drive, a plan, a decision. And every decision is a chance to say, not tonight. Distance didn't kill friendship. It just made saying no easy. Ask yourself, when did you last drop by a friend's place with no plan, no text, just a knock? For most of us, that died decades ago. Walter's father belonged to the Elks, his uncle, the Moose, his neighbor, the VFW. These weren't quaint little clubs. In the middle of the 20th century, fraternal lodges had members in the millions. Nearly every town had one. A hall, a bar, a calendar full of dinners, fundraisers, funerals. When a man's roof caved in, the lodge showed up with hammers. When a man died, the lodge buried him with honor. It was a safety net made of other men. No app, no therapist, just brothers who knew your name. Today, most of those halls are closed, sold, turned into storage units and event spaces. The Elks, the Moose, the Eagles, their membership collapsed after the 70s and never came back. The Elks alone lost over 1 million members. Nobody held a funeral for that. This is where the story takes a turn, because the lodge didn't die from lack of need. The need never went away. Something just made it feel optional. That something was sitting in the corner of every living room. The television. For the first time in human history, a man could be entertained without ever leaving his house. Why drive to the lodge when the game was on at home? Why sit at the bar when the couch was free? But here's the twist nobody expects. The television didn't steal his friends by being bad. It stole them by being just good enough to make leaving the house feel like a chore. Comfort, not laziness, did this. It wasn't a bad decision, it was a comfortable one. And comfort is how this whole thing happened. Nobody chose loneliness, we chose convenience, 10,000 small times. And loneliness was the bill. Hour by hour, the evening that used to belong to other men started belonging to a screen. And the screen only got better at keeping us home. Which brings us to the worst part. The league didn't end with a fight or a funeral, it just thinned out. One man moved to the suburbs, another got cable, a third said his wife wanted him home. For a while it was 5 men, then 4, then they couldn't field a team. Walter showed up one Tuesday and the lanes had been turned into a self-storage facility. He stood in the parking lot for a minute, then he drove home and watched TV. He never told anyone it bothered him. Men of his generation didn't. But something in him went quiet that year, and it never fully came back. Right now, somewhere, a man is eating dinner alone who used to host the whole street. Here's what nobody talks about. Walter didn't lose his friends. The places that held his friends were taken away, and a friendship with nowhere to happen slowly stops happening. Now, you might be thinking, just make new friends, call someone. But here's the cruel math of it. Friendship for men was never built on calling. It was built on showing up to a shared thing. Take away the shared thing, and you ask a 60-year-old man to do something he was never taught. To reach out, cold, with no excuse, and risk a no. That's not weakness. That's a skill the old world never made him learn. Because the old world did it for him. Women often kept their friendships through conversation, which travels anywhere. Men kept theirs through activity, which needs a place. When the places vanished, men were left holding a kind of friendship that couldn't survive without them. This is the real reason men get lonelier as they age, and women often don't. And it has almost nothing to do with character. So ask yourself, honestly, who would you call at 2 in the morning if everything fell apart tonight? If you had to think about it, you already understand this video in your bones. So let's go back to where we started. 3% in 1990, 15% by 2021. Behind every percent is a man like Walter, a man who used to have a Tuesday, a man who retires and realizes the only people he ever really talked to were at a job he no longer has. A man whose phone is full of contacts and empty of anyone he could call on a hard night. And this isn't just sad. Loneliness raises your risk of an early death about as much as smoking. That's not a metaphor. We built a country that is incredibly really good at keeping a man comfortable and terrible at keeping him connected. We gave him a bigger house, a faster car, a better screen, and we quietly took away the lane, the lodge, and the bar. He got everything he was sold, and he lost the one thing no one thought to put a price on. That's the trade nobody agreed to, but all of us made it. Here's what Walter understood without ever saying it. Friendship isn't a feeling you find, it's a place you keep going back to. He didn't have deep talks, he had a standing night. And the standing night did what no deep talk could. It put the same men in the same room until they became part of each other's lives. The man of the 70s wasn't wiser than us. He just lived inside a structure that made connection automatic. That's the lesson. Not try harder to feel close. Build a place you return to on a fixed schedule with the same people. That's the thing we lost, and here's the part that matters. It's the one thing we can actually rebuild. You can't undo the suburbs. You can't bring back the Elks Hall on Main Street, but you can copy the mechanism, the standing night, the fixed place, the same faces, a breakfast every Saturday at the same diner, a garage every Thursday, a walk every Sunday with two other men. It feels small. It is small. The lane was small too. Small and weekly is exactly what works. You don't need 10 friends. You need about 3 you see on repeat. That's it. The men who beat loneliness in their 60s almost never do it by putting themselves out there. They do it by starting one repeating thing and refusing to let it die. You don't need to be social. You just need a Tuesday. That's all Walter ever had. If you're a man who looks up one day and realizes the friends are gone, hear this. It wasn't your failure. You were handed a world that pulled the structures out from under you and called it progress. You played by the rules. You worked. You provided. You came home. Nobody told you the cost. So don't sit in the guilt of it. That's just another night spent alone. The cure for this isn't talking more about your feelings. It's showing up to the same place on the same night until the faces become family. The same hands that can feel that loss can pick up a phone and start one standing thing this week. Not because you're lonely, because that's what men have always done. They build the place and the brotherhood follows. Walter never got his Tuesday back. You still can. We were the sons of men who never had to ask for friends. We are the first generation that does. That's not a tragedy to mourn, it's a job to do. Find your Tuesday. The same place, the same night, the same men. Start it small. Keep it alive. The lane is gone, the lodge is closed. But the thing they gave us, men in a room every week who know our name, that we can build with our own hands. So tell me, what was the place your friendships lived? The bar, the lane, the shop, the corner, one name in the comments, just one. I read every single one, and I'm right here with you.